took a lot to get here, and I want everyone listening to appreciate that. We were going to do a fun little intro, Brittany Broski style. And in between now and when we're actually filming, death has had a death grip on me. So this is all you get. Welcome back. Tracks on. Nope. Cars on track. Wheels to the road. Pedal to the metal. All the good car shop talk. We're back.
These just get more chaotic.
I love it. So, keeping on with what we kind of did last week for this month of National Women's Month is talk about and highlight a woman in motorsport. So, today I wanted to highlight Laura Mueller, I think is how you say her name. I'm not sure. It has a little umlaut over the U, and I don't speak German, so I'm going to go with Mueller. She is the first ever female race engineer in F1, so that is incredible that she has we finally have one. It's 2025, but it's taken too long. So that is super exciting. She is the engineer for Esteban Ocon at Haas, and she has been with Haas since 2022 when she joined the team. She originally was working in the simulation department, and then she transitioned over to being a performance engineer. So it was very exciting this race, getting to hear like a female voice over the race radios and like hearing her talk to Ocon. Like that was so exciting for me. Like it was like a very small part of the race, but like when I heard her talk, I was like, oh my gosh, it's Laura. That's so cool. So that's our little shout out highlight. Keep killing it, girl.
Weirdly enough, I would be okay with Esteban Ocon doing well for one race just because his success is would be her success as well.
Wow.
It's made me like Esteban Ocon more. Just because she is his race engineer.
What was it that you said once upon a time? If I ever say that I like Esteban Ocon, know that like someone's holding a gun to my head.
So like I dislike him slightly.
I think speaking of Haas, to get into the nitty gritty of what was the Thunder Down Under in Australia this week, we'll pivot a little to literally Brazil's 2024 flashbacks. Not nearly as severe, but dear God. Ollie Behrman, we love him. Loved seeing him last year in the Ferrari and the Haas. Maybe not his weekend.
Poor boy.
He did start the weekend off with a crash in FP1, red flagging that session. And then due to the unimaginable amount of repairs on his car, fully missed FP2. And then only to get back out there in FP3 and red flag it again.
The man is nothing if not consistent. And I so appreciate that from a Haas. Because a Haas is anything but inconsistent. So to have someone actually be consistent in this car, even if it's consistently bad, I think that deserves a pat on the back.
It's just tough because I think in terms of all of the rookies coming in, like he is one of the ones like that was noted as like to watch. We get into qualifying. He has gearbox issues, basically doesn't get to qualify, and is going to be starting the race from the pit lane. But on the bright side, considering that this race had, one did not start and 5 DNFs, so 6 drivers out total. He did finish the race. Granted, that was P14, which is the last in the pack of people who did finish.
He was one of the 2 rookies who finished the race. And for that,
one of the 2.
That is a win, and he should take away from this weekend that he finished the race.
I did want to ask y'all, before we get too into it, like what is 3 words or less to describe your feelings on the race? Mine was wow, and you can take with whatever inflection you want to on that word. Yeah, like maybe a wow, and then
just wow 3 different ways.
And then finally a silent wow. For those listening, it was a silent, judgmental wow.
Okay. I'm gonna go with a dear God, no.
I'd be pain, but excitement at the same time.
Terror.
Because war flashbacks to Brazil. Because like half my drivers that I love did surprisingly really well, and the other half did not. So it was just roller coaster of emotions. That is my 3 words to describe.
Terrorizing.
Describe
emotional
it, I would have to
whiplash.
say. She truly was a roller coaster.
Oh yeah, I did feel terrorized. I said, really, F1, this is what you're gonna give me first race
Owed
back?
compensation.
Okay, do we want to pivot into more pain and talk about Isack Hadjar?
Oh my god. I have like a new favorite, like absolute favorite rookie. He's my
Like
guy
he is our
now.
We love him.
I'm sorry,
collective
Ollie.
driver.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
who we can all collective agree on
He's
that we
so
love, Isack
he's
Hadjar.
just so baby.
He's
And
just
like in
so
the
pure.
sweet, most humble,
I
like
know.
I just want to wrap you in bubble wrap and like put you on the podium and just like automatic win. Automatic gold star. You existed and
He's just a Lewis Hamilton fangirl like we are.
yep.
I know. And for that, like, I automatically am gonna like you if you love Lewis. But
Yeah.
I will say what I put down about him. So going into this weekend, he was probably the rookie that I knew least about and like didn't have any feelings towards like positive or negative because I like just didn't know the dude. Was not familiar with his
Yeah.
game, did not know really much about him besides that he's a good driver, was on the Red Bull Junior team. He came second in F2. A lot of people think that he should have won, but he didn't. Um, Anyways, he qualified the best out of all of the rookies at P11. So I'm sure he was so excited to go into the race because he was like, I qualified really well. Like my teammate qualified really well. Like this car is good.
In a V car.
Yeah, like I'm excited to like debut. Like as I'm sure all the rookies were. And unfortunately spun out during the formation lap. And when he got out of the car, I mean, obviously,
Ugh.
like if it was me, I'd be distraught. But it was like absolutely distraught and crying
Heartbreaking.
and just watching
Soul
him like
crushing.
standing there on the other side of the wall and the like one marshal who came up and was just like patting him on the back, like consoling him. I was like, that guy was so sweet. And I feel like he is the unsung hero because yes, Anthony Hamilton, we'll get into that, was incredible. But this marshal, no one's talking about him, so I'm gonna talk about him. And I thought that was so sweet. He stood with him the entire time until he got like called to go back into the paddock. So that was really sweet. The poor guy, even when he got to the paddock, still had his crash helmet on, was still crying. Then next thing we like see Anthony Hamilton, who is Lewis Hamilton's dad, is like walking with him in the paddock, like talking to him, consoling him, which I just thought was so sweet, regardless. But the fact that Isack Hadjar's like hero is Lewis Hamilton, and so to have your hero's dad come and comfort you and be like, it's okay, like you still have so much more to show, like this is just the beginning, like don't let this get you down.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure for him that meant like even more because it's just like your idol's like father who's coming and talking to you. So that moment was just really sweet.
Marshals are basically like the first line of defense at like around the track. So to have like those are going to be the first people who come to you after an accident, and to have someone who's there that you don't even know, they don't know you, but to comfort you and be like, hey, look, it doesn't feel like it's going to be okay right now, but I'm going to support you and it will be okay. Even, before, I'm sure, the greatness of Anthony Hamilton coming and like comforting you, but to have that like first small, like your first interaction with someone not being a camera being shoved in your face or someone trying to like herd you off the track, but just being like, hey, look, I'm here for you person to person.
Right.
I got you. Must have hope kind of helped what was a very tragic start to his, F1 debut.
Speaking of not having a camera stuck in your face, I honestly could have done with a lot less of like just how in his face that like they literally followed him from getting out of the car.
Also, I did not need that many camera
like
angles.
why was that the longest walk through the paddock I've ever seen?
I know.
It was torture to watch. And then too, like I pulled a few quotes from Anthony Hamilton, and he said the thing is, as soon as I saw what happened to Isack, my heart fell and I just felt for him. I was so sad to see it because I know how hard it is when these kids are 8 years of age and they dream of becoming a Formula One race driver. I just wanted to give him a hug. I felt for him like a father. And then too, like I read a little bit more about this interview that he did, and like he specifically mentions that like the moment he saw it happen on the screens, he got up from where he was and started walking out the paddock so he could go meet Isack as soon as possible. And like if that's just not enough to make you not only love Anthony Hamilton, but like I think it just really goes to show the character that Lewis Hamilton has, and like seeing his father, it makes so much sense when you piece the two together. Only other thoughts and feelings I have regarding the whole Isack Hadjar situation, I really hope he has a good week in China. Helmut Marko, watch your mouth. I will find you and I will end you.
That is another like thing that could just be the title of this episode, is Helmut Marko, watch your mouth.
Helmut Marko, watch your mouth.
Because
technically, he's a V-carb driver. He is a Red Bull driver. Why are you talking about him like that?
Yeah, well,
that
are we
it's embarrassing that he shows emotion?
And I think that's just so sad because it further like pushes this whole thing that like boys don't cry, or like guys shouldn't
Toxic
cry
masculinity.
or show their emotions. And it's like, I think that this is a good example of being like, it's okay to cry. Not crying would be a strange reaction to what happened to him. Like, it's a very normal reaction to cry when you do not start your first F1 race.
You have passion for the sport. Like, you feel so
to then be made fun of for that
you are brought
absurd.
To a physical reaction, not just like internally, but like you are so you're so entwined with the sport and you care so deeply about it that it has brought you to tears. I don't take that as like, he's somehow less of a driver because he didn't sit there stone-faced. He genuinely cares about the sport, and that was sort of it was kind of felt like that from the commentators too. At a different point, they were talking about how they wonder if the rookie drivers are now more nervous, simultaneously more nervous because of Isack's crash, but also kind of the pressure's off because unfortunately someone has crashed, so at least you're not the first anymore. And they were talking about how the rookies are so much more honest in the interviews because they haven't sort of had that, I guess, media training, and it makes you appreciate it because I feel like it's so rigid and structured now that you can't really, like, yes, you can still see that the drivers have great love for the sport, but it's nice to have that kind of unpolished love and passion for it, that they don't care if it, makes them sound silly to say that they're nervous or cry because you crashed out on what should have been one of the biggest races of your career kind of situation. I think it's nice to see that and to have actual human emotion rather than 20 robots on the grid. Just bloody lovely. Lost the race. He really can.
And
he's ripped the Band-Aid off.
At the end of the day, he can only go up from here.
You could be Lance
Stroll,
who crashed
out your first race. What could be worse?
Yep, like you got
not
it,
a whole
buddy.
lot, right? What I would really love is for Helmut Marko to turn his attentions back to Red Bull, actually, and Liam Lawson, or as I like to call him now, Checo 2.0. Because stop getting in everybody else's business. Focus on your own team. Enough.
Literally.
Man exited in Q1 with a P18 starting position, which really wasn't that impressive when Ali Behrman couldn't qualify. So the only people behind him were Haas. And Max is in P3? Make it make sense. And then to crash out lap 47, I have no words for Liam this week.
Yeah.
I wanted to like you.
It's going to be interesting to see how the rest of the season goes. This was definitely a race to forget for Liam.
Someone that we continuously keep forgetting about, Jack Doohan.
I feel so bad. I really feel so bad that I keep forgetting about him. Because Julia was like, and Jack Doohan, and I was like, because I talked about everyone else getting out, and I was like, he exists. And I felt so bad. I always forget. I mean, he qualified well. He was the second fastest qualifier. The rookies got into Q2, so that was impressive. But unfortunately, he spun out in lap 1 of his home race. Yeah. So I do feel bad for him, like, because the whole rhetoric and stuff around, like, Jack Doohan doesn't have a seat for the whole season, like, blah, 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 Franco Colapinto coming in. And as much as I want Franco Colapinto to come in, like, I do, like, that must suck, like, to have everyone talking about you and, like, wanting Franco in that seat, or, like, saying Franco's gonna be in that seat, and then
hoping for your downfall.
Race, and then it's, like, your debut, like, race for the new season in your hometown, and you crash out lap 1. That's gotta hurt.
I think OSGP, like, the fact that they didn't even put him on the billboard, I don't know. I think, not to get into the, like, Alpine rumors and whatnot, but I think, one, the fact that, like, Flavio Briatore no comment, didn't comment on it. I think says a lot, because if they weren't going to get rid of him or they didn't have the thought of it, they'd be like, we're not thinking of doing that. The fact that they, for some reason, have 4 reserve drivers.
That's whack. Why do you need 4 reserve drivers?
Because they're going to fire someone. Yeah.
It's literally, they're going to pull a Dale Coyne and have a new driver. Well, speaking of, we're 2 out of 3 drivers into who crashed before a full lap was completed. So to round out the 3 out of 3 is Carlos Sainz. I wanted to turn the TV off and go to bed when
Rage quit.
He was suddenly in the wall. And it took a lot to stay, because that's my after Lewis, my favorite. And I was excited to see what Williams could do. They both qualified so well. Alex was P6, Carlos P10, both into Q3.
In a Williams. In a cardboard box with duct tape.
I know, like, Kaylee is really manifesting this podium to come
that
true.
cinder block.
Do you think that does kind of speak to the conditions and the fact that a lot of new people, or not new people, well, new people and people in new cars, yes, struggled in this race,
and seasoned
more so than you would think, because like you had Carlos Sainz, you had Lewis Hamilton, you had rookies, you had seasoned vets, you had basically anyone and everyone. This was not a perfect race for most people on the grid. So, and for the fact that both Alex and Carlos placed so well previously and did so well in FP1 through 3, and that it wasn't necessarily because he can't drive in a Williams or because he's in a lesser car, and more so to the fact that everyone is trying to figure out how to get settled.
It was literally the condition.
Whatever new team you're in, and just kind of, this was basically a trial run. I kind of saw it as like a very messy trial run of like, I'm still trying to figure out everything.
Yeah. You know what? But again, we got to have Carlos Sainz, professional race engineer, because man's DNFs, goes back to his driver's room, puts jeans back on, and then is out on the pit wall running back and forth between the garage with strategy decisions for Albon.
And he's like helped them choose what lap to pit Albon on, which kept Albon in his position and like caused him not to fall back like what happened to the Ferraris and Yuki.
Yeah.
So
insane.
Carlos Sainz is my most likely to become an F1 team principal one day.
I think it's so funny too, because so often he has that like vacant look in his face and everyone's like, that man has no thoughts, and it's like, actually he's just a genius,
and
we're all
thoughts. He's
tricking all of us.
Alex Albon killed it. Literally suck it to everyone who was like, this is the end of Alex Albon's career, he's not gonna blah blah blah. Literally be quiet, because that's my goat. And in my mind, he got P4.
Everyone who said that like Carlos was gonna like dog walk him basically, and that Carlos was gonna push him out of Williams, I fear that we are seeing, like, in terms of compatible driver pairings, you've got McLaren and you have Williams.
Yeah.
Like, they're gelling so well together. I do think Charles and Lewis have like a good relationship. I just don't know necessarily that that's going to communicate on track.
Yeah.
But qualified in front of both of the Ferraris, finished in front of both of the Ferraris. If we don't get a Williams podium,
race, to be honest.
Yeah, like, class act.
Killed it. So everyone needs to stop underestimating Alex Albon. We have been championing, can't say that word, championing, whatever. You know what I'm saying. Him forever. So glad people are waking up. So yeah, very excited about Alex. That was definitely the best part of the race. I know he got P5 because Kimi Antonelli passed him, but then got P4 because Kimi Antonelli got a penalty, but then got P5 again because Kimi Antonelli's penalty got taken away. But P4 in my heart.
Yeah.
Before we get to our other baddies, just 2 more DNFs that we had, Fernando Alonso and Gabriel Bortoleto. The green car that DNF'd, it turns out it wasn't Stroll.
Yeah, when they said it was Fernando, I was like, no way, it's Fernando, not Lance Stroll. I was genuinely shocked. I was shocked. But
fear for Aston Martin.
Oh, yeah.
I think they're going to topple down the constructors' order this year.
Yeah, they're more
like
focused on next year
6th,
anyways.
7th. Yeah.
So for them, it's just like, whatever. We'll come back next year with Newey's car. I just thought it
But
was
a
so
gentle
funny how,
props
like,
to Lance.
all of the Gen Z rookies, when they had that interview with Laura Winters, and they're like, talking about the rookies, they're like, Fernando, and she just did not get the joke. That was hilarious.
And she's like, what? That was a good one.
Oh, yeah. Yes, Lance Stroll, congratulations on your P6. You did, honestly, a really good job. And
Yeah.
I'm proud of you. Because I said that you were going to crash out in lap 1, and I was wrong, and you did a great job.
So, made it into Q2 in a Sauber crazy.
That was wild.
Good for him.
Congrats.
Maybe Sauber redemption arc this year? Probably not. Helmut Marko, again, shut your mouth. Calling him a B-rate driver when Liam Lawson literally trash canned your car. I don't want to hear it.
Okay, well, talking about someone else that upsetting Ferrari. Okay,
Ugh.
what do you mean Ferrari is mid? Like, we had such high hopes.
So
like
mid.
With preseason testing and everything that Charles was spouting, and like I knew it had to be a lie. Like, it was all too good to be true. And obviously it's the first race of the season, and I can't write them off yet. But right now,
it's rough.
Williams is my number 1 team right now because they're doing better than Ferrari.
They gaslit us with all those photo shoots. I was gonna say, after qualifying P7 and P8, for them to say, oh, we were slow because we ran a wet weather setup. My ass, because when it rained the next day, you were
slow. So did they run a dry weather setup on Sunday?
P8 and P10, you both lost places.
It was rough watch. Lance Stroll beating you both.
Great radios,
Stroll beating both Ferraris. Lewis was big mad. Lewis was big mad.
New game this season. Take a shot every time Lewis says, leave me to it.
Yeah, he was. I could feel like the emotion in Lewis's voice. I was like, that man is about to park the car, get out, and go beat up the race engineer that's sitting in Ferrari.
Rip the engineer's headphones out of the wall.
I'm like, if he came in one more time, I wouldn't be surprised if Lewis like pulls those earplugs, like somehow got in his helmet to pull the thing out of his ear so he couldn't hear.
Yeah.
Because he was losing it.
I'm just confused how they haven't sorted that sooner.
It's Ferrari.
We know that you would think that there would be a conversation about like, okay, what's your communication style going into like being on track? Telling him to do something 14 times, not helping him. Man's won 7 championships. Do you remember the last time you guys won one? I don't.
It was funny because I think at one point in the whatever, it panned to Bono in the Mercedes garage when all this was going on. And I was like, I'm sure Lewis is really missing Bono a lot right now.
The whole Lewis Hamilton dynamic with his engineers. And I was like, I think part of it is Ferrari loves to stick their feet in their mouth and quite literally put any obstacle they can in front of them to be successful. But I digress. Is you can practice and practice and practice and practice, but until you actually live that first race and live through conditions of, extremes and both sides, it's hard to really practice that. Now, granted, could the engineer have maybe kept himself on mute a couple times? Yes. Could they have left Lewis, a 7-time, should be 8-time, world champion, alone? Yes. But I can understand sort of like wanting to over communicate versus have no communication, and really kind of, you can only really kind of work out the kinks in it in the moment, not in practice.
Right. I feel like it's going to have to be the thing where until he gets on the radio asking you for information, don't just shut up. Just don't talk. Instead of telling him to press a stupid button on the steering wheel.
The K1 button.
Over and over and over and over again. After he told you, I'm not close enough.
I would have literally just ripped that K1 button off my steering wheel and like,
thrown it out the
fuck you. It's gone.
Yeah, you know what? Ferrari pressed Lewis's buttons. Lewis didn't press theirs.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah. Overall, Ferrari equals disappointment, but
consistently though.
Wasn't expecting much more. All I'm just reminding myself is that this is the first race and we have 23 more.
It's just the first race. We'll live.
It didn't count. It wasn't real. So like Lando, I'm glad that you won. You didn't win. It wasn't real.
Okay,
it didn't happen.
I don't subscribe to. Let me keep some joy in my life.
Again, more words I never thought we would
He deserved to win. He did a good job.
Yeah. Speaking of people who did a great job, I mean, I always bring him up. Yuki Tsunoda. Amazing job. Literally, so I feel like this man is in his Taylor Swift reputation era and is just going to take every opportunity to, like, rub it in Red Bull's face.
Oh, yeah. I mean, qualifying P5 in a V-carb,
incredible.
Sensational. And your teammate qualifying P11, like, I'm so excited to see what this V-carb can do. And I'm about to be buying me some V-carb merch because I've always loved Yuki, but I'm now down. With Isack, we've got to get
down.
Oh, can we get matching V-carb stuff?
Please.
Keep thinking about the interview where Yuki pulls the chair out for Liam Lawson and then just keep pulling it back. And I'm like, this is how this season's going to go. This is how the season's going to go.
Drops him on the ground.
Yes.
That's his plan.
He said,
that's the energy that Yuki is entering the 2025 season with. And I'm here for it.
Genuinely, I think if like one or two things had gone differently for the race, he would have finished in 6th. He held 6th for majority of the race until he had to pit for inters, and they pit him too late. The safety car timing, it was the same bad luck Ferrari ran into that like booped him back a little bit. But even still, finishing just outside of the points, all things considered. VCarb, please make cuter merch because we would love to buy it. When Yuki was in 6th, Max was in 3rd. Like, the divide was not substantial. I hope that, I don't know, it might be all of us. My hero of this week is Oscar Piastri. Hometown hero, got his contract re-signed, keeping him at McLaren as long as we can. Zach Brown is looking at Christian Horner saying, away. Don't touch my boys, you weirdo little weirdo.
Stay away.
I wanted him to get P1 in qualifying so bad. And this is big for me because like I am a Lando fan. I was praying that he was going to beat Lando. It was his race to win. I think his drive all the way up until the like lap 44 incident was immaculate.
Yeah.
Like was overtaken by Max, took it back.
I mean, up until like race had the incident, but then also drove incredibly well after that because a lot of drivers would have just given up and like, I can't get out of this grass. Like, what's going on? Gets out of the grass. It's like the loudest cheer of the whole race was like when he got going again, and was so determined that he didn't give up and he managed to get back to the points and came P9 after being basically a lap down. Like, that was incredible. And so he, because of that, I mean, that was just an incredible drive. I think he should have gotten driver of the day, but you know.
He only had 13 laps too to recover that big.
This feels like a dramatic sports movie, like where the hero isn't going to win. Honestly, Cars. It felt like Cars. Like where the hero isn't going to win, but everyone's like stands up, slow, clap. Like, yeah, the real.
It's like the runner that collapses right before the finish line, and then like the teammate picks him up and like carries him over, and then everyone goes crazy for that. Or like they're crawling over. But honestly, also the quote that Oscar said in an interview after, being like, I spent hours practicing reversing a tractor at Clarkson's farm, and I think it helped me out. I was like, this is incredible. And so
I mean, at least he can stay funny.
I was like, yeah, at least he finds the humor in it. Like, obviously that's extremely disappointing. Like, your home race, you're set, for a podium, and that happens. But I mean, he did a great job. Very impressed.
Yeah. The Australian fans celebrated him not even winning the race the same way that they, like, Monaco fans celebrated Charles finally winning there.
Yeah.
And I think that is, like, he didn't even win. And the pride that those people have in him, and man is going to be a multiple championship winner, no doubt in my mind.
I can see it for sure.
Don't care about talking about George, honestly, at all. Kimi Antonelli, to me personally, was unimpressive all weekend, and his P4 finish was really just a big benefit on everyone else's strategy getting screwed up. And that's all I have on that. I don't dislike Kimi Antonelli, Lauren and I, we all three of us agree to the core that it's just too soon for him to be an F1. He should have had another year in F2.
But I will give him major props for being, besides Ollie, the only other rookie that finished. And not only did he finish in the points. He finished 4th/5th, which is one of the all-time best debuts from a rookie. Like, it's in the top 10. I mean, Lewis got 2nd, K-Mag got 3rd. Like, I mean, it's literally, I think, in the top 7 or 8 best starts for...
Sort of more to Julie's point, it was helped along by the fact that a lot of people didn't finish or didn't have great race strategies. But congrats on him. Congrats on finishing so high.
Yeah, and I think it's hard, too, because it's the first race. It was wet. So, like, I feel like I can't make any opinions or even kind of, like, I don't want to say too much about, like, any one of them until we've had at least China and Japan, and then I can, like, compare. Because, like, I have nothing to compare this to. Like,
this isn't
any of them
objective evidence.
Like, Liam Lawson,
like,
I have stuff to compare to, but that's basically the only of them that I have anything to compare to.
And Ollie barely.
Yeah, and he was in 2 different teams. So it's just like, I'm excited to see how they all do in China in the dry.
Yes.
To compare.
It was a trial run.
This was not a benchmark at all. Australia was...
This was a question mark.
Yeah, a true trial.
I don't know about y'all, but sentence I never thought that I would hear is that McLaren and Mercedes are tied in the Constructors' Championship. That feels
Crazy.
Wrong. It's very much, this race felt kind of like a Twilight Zone. Like, Lance did well. Mercedes and McLaren are equally matched.
Yeah, Alex Albon right up there, like...
It's probably because everyone in the paddock was so violently ill this week that it was just unpredictable.
There was just, like, weird juju all around. Especially, like, because qualifying, the conditions were, like, perfect. And so, like, okay, you could judge some drivers how they did out qualifying. And then, like, the race was, like, raining. And then when it wasn't raining, obviously there was a wet track. And then there was, like, the giant burst of rain in the middle of the race that, like, no one was prepared for. I mean, the F2 race got canceled because there was so much rain before the F1 race. So overall, just big old hot mess.
Lando won. Yay, Lando.
Yeah. Good job.
Driver of the day. I was saying to Lauren earlier, honestly, I am glad that he won and not Max. I think it would not have been fun to start the season off with Max winning right away. I think it leaves it more open to, like, what else could happen. But I didn't really have much to say about Lando because it was just a good drive and that's it.
Well, it was a good car, too. Like, McLaren's
it was
car,
a great car.
I mean, the Oscar and Lando were lapping, like, 14 seconds, you know, between them and Max. And they were, like, a second lap faster than everyone else. And so, right now, McLaren's car, I mean, also, again, it was in the wet, so, like, we don't really know. But, like, they have a great car. And what kind of irks me was Lando being like, it wasn't the car. Blah, 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 about the car. I'm like, no. You are a good driver,
I think
but
he also
it was the
said,
car.
though, like, he said on his radio, though, too, like, great weekend, great job, great car, great team.
Yeah, but, like, that's, like...
He likes to play that joke, though, because of what he did, like, years ago, and someone's like, the car was really good, and he was like, the car?
But, like, he plays it that, like... Well, I mean, clearly the McLaren is...
a rocket
the dominant
ship.
car
it's
right
on
now.
crack
And
cocaine.
I think the reason that it irked me was, first of all, like, all these engineers and whatever have, like, worked their butt off to create an incredible car. So yes, you are a great driver and, like, that helps you win the race, but Max was up there in not nearly as great of a car, so it's like, okay. And your teammate was lapping the same times as you. So it's not like, so, like, in that argument. And also, he made that comment about Lewis Hamilton being like, well, he's always been in a dominant car or a championship winning car. He should always be winning. So I'm like, I'm expecting that from you, Lando. You should be winning every race now. If that's this energy you're going to bring into this.
I think we're going to have a big disparity. Like, him and Oscar are going to be fighting tooth and nail, because had Oscar not had his incident as severe as he did, with 13 laps to go, Oscar would have passed him.
Yeah. And so
No
I'm
doubt
like,
in my mind.
I'm like, you better not start getting cocky now and be like,
careful.
You know,
Karma.
Thank your engineers. Thank your car. Don't talk about Lewis Hamilton.
Thank your mom.
Like, and that's the reason it irked me. I was like, okay, let's rewind it back here. Like, yes, you're a great driver. Yes, you won the race. You deserved your win. But
you also have the best team on the grid behind you to do so.
Yes. So let's thank them for that. Yeah. So that was like the only thing that kind of annoyed me about those comments Lando made. Good race. China, you better be up there.
Can't wait.
Every race, if Lando doesn't win, I'm going to be like, you suck.
Oh my god, no. I can't
are going to
win these
win.
Conditions. Do we think it's time for the revival of the Brat and Ick corner?
Please. I've missed her.
Beautiful. It's been so long.
I know.
Hard week for me because there was just so much going on. Number 1 Brat, Anthony Hamilton. My second tier brats, Yuki and Albon.
I would say Anthony Hamilton and then Carlos. The best race engineer.
The best race engineer.
I agree with all of those, but my brat has to be my GOAT, besides Alex Albon. Nico Hulkenberg, P7 in the Steak Sauber kick machine. Slay.
I literally have to keep reminding myself that he's in the Sauber and not the Haas, because like P7 in the Haas, I'm like, okay, yeah. And then I'm like, wait a minute. He's literally
in the kick
the
Sauber
worst
machine.
car from last year.
Yeah. So that is definitely my brat.
Thoroughly
impressive.
impressive.
He has the right color, the neon green. It fits.
They probably never expected to get their first points first race this season.
Higher than both the Ferraris. So not only were both the Ferraris beaten by Lance Stroll, but also the kick Sauber machine.
Yeah.
That's a bitter pill to swallow.
A steak.
Kick Sauber machine.
Anna Williams. And an 18-year-old who just got his license.
Literally.
It's brutal out here. I am also on the Helmut Marko number 1 ick. I am sick. And I mean that in all caps. For anyone listening, I am sick in all caps of him. Like, the only moment that I've actually kind of liked Helmut Marko was when he was giving Christian Horner shit last season about the whole scandal. But now he's back on his bullshit, and I'm not here for it. He's just insufferable.
Duct tape over your mouth, please.
I wish he didn't know English, so we didn't have to listen to him.
I know.
Shortly there under that, Liam Lawson, just because somehow in my heart he has become the villain. I'm sorry, but my feelings are still hurt about Danny. My feelings are still hurt about Yuki. I don't like the cocky attitude. You are not Max Verstappen. You are not Lewis Hamilton. Enough. And then my last ick, a reappearance from the man himself, George Russell. Specifically for saying that he was just waiting for people ahead of him to make mistakes. Because, dude, it's the only reason that you ever get a podium or a win. Because you are the middest of mid-drivers. And I can't wait until this mid-season moment happens where somehow Kimi Antonelli is ahead of him or is like the number 1 driver at Mercedes.
Well, my ick is the same. It's Helmut Marko. I don't want to hear from him ever again. That's it. None of the drivers really bothered me because this race didn't happen and it wasn't real. So stay tuned for next week when I have real opinions. This week, I have lukewarm opinions on things. The only true opinion I have is Helmut Marko
is an asshole.
We love you guys. Thanks for sticking around. Happy St. Patty's Day. And good night.